can inmates live better than you? Luxury, tennis courts, libraries, music studios. Sounds like a holiday resort, right? But what if I told you all of this exists in prisons? Yes, you heard correctly, behind bars. The question is, how much luxury is really behind it? Is it a farce or a media myth? How could drug lords like Pablo Escobar literally run a prison by their own rules? And why do countries like Norway invest in bright architecture, music studios, and communal kitchens right in the middle of the prison system? Let's start where the term luxury prison is most often used: the United States. Club Fed. It sounds like a leisure club and sunshine, like softball and smoothies. What it really refers to are federal prison camps with minimum security. They are the destination for many white-collar offenders, tax fraud, investment fraud, insider trading, crimes without direct violence. Names like Otisville or Pensacola keep popping up in articles, often illustrated with lawns and sports fields. But the image is misleading once you look closer. Yes, there are dormitories instead of concrete cells, sports grounds instead of high-security walls. Yes, education programs, addiction treatment, and jobs are part of daily life, but it remains deprivation of freedom. Every day has its headcounts, its checks, its limits. Visiting rights are tightly regulated, privacy is scarce, and anyone who breaks the rules ends up in disciplinary action faster than the nickname club suggests. If Club Fed paints a soft image of prison, the case of Pablo Escobar is the opposite: hard, brazen, surreal. In the early 1990s, Escobar managed a deal that today sounds unbelievable. To prevent extradition to the United States, he offered the Colombian state an arrangement: imprisonment, but in a facility built to his own specifications. Thus, La Catedral was created, perched high above Medellin, overlooking the city he had terrorized for years. The compound, multiple buildings, lounges, a chapel, pool tables, a bar, barbecue areas, even a football pitch. But the real essence was invisible: the power dynamics. Escobar controlled the staff, set the rules, turned visits into audiences, and kept his business going. La Catedral was less a prison than a statement, a message to enemies, rivals, and to the state: I'm still here. This experiment collapsed spectacularly. When violent killings inside the compound could no longer be hidden, the government decided to end the deal and move Escobar to a regular prison. In the chaos, he exploited weaknesses and escaped. From then on, La Catedral became a warning of state power that had been corrupted and of the danger when luxury is not part of rehabilitation, but an expression of criminal dominance. And yet, the path out of this distortion leads only through another extreme: Norway. Halden Prison is considered a blueprint for humane incarceration. Anyone who sees the facility immediately feels that a different mindset prevails here. Wood, glass, art, daylight instead of neon lamps, green spaces instead of concrete yards, single rooms with bed, desk, TV, often a private shower, communal kitchens, workshops, a music and recording studio. From a traditional perspective, it seems provocative. Why should someone who broke the rules live in an environment that resembles a boarding school? The Norwegian answer is unromantic: because it works. The principle of normality says the closer daily prison life is to life outside, the smoother the return. Whoever learns to cook, to work, to resolve conflicts, to take responsibility, is less likely to reoffend after release. In Halden, the relationship between staff and inmates is deliberately close, respectful, approachable, de-escalating. Security here comes not from barbed wire, but from relationships, routines, and meaning. Work in carpentry or gastronomy, school diplomas, addiction therapy, sports, all of this fills the day, reduces idleness, and creates perspective. Of course, there is pushback. Too soft, critics say. Too friendly, too nice. But supporters counter: a prison that changes people ultimately protects society and the victims of tomorrow. The moral instinct, punishment must be painful, clashes here with sober prevention. The unease is understandable, but the question remains: do we measure the success of prisons by their harshness, or by the number of people who don't reoffend? Even more radical is Bastøy, the prison island in the Oslo fjord. Few fences, small houses, work in nature, fishing, gardening, horseback riding. Sounds bizarre, until you realize the core is responsibility. Those who abused freedom learn to value it by practicing it again in small doses, waking up on time, finishing tasks, showing consideration for others. The island is not a gift shop, it's a mirror. Those who refuse lose privileges. Those who show responsibility gradually gain autonomy. The goal? The day of release should not feel like a plunge into cold water, but a continuation of an already practiced daily life. A completely different approach, but the same idea. The Justice Center Leoben in Austria. A glass-fronted building, lots of light, clear lines. Internationally mocked as a luxury prison, but in professional circles discussed as a thoughtful mix of architecture and pedagogy. Again, single rooms, educational offers, therapy. Again, rules, checks, consequences. The environment is humane. The message is too. Dignity is not a gift, it is an obligation. Those who are respected can learn to respect. So what do we call luxury? Is clean bedding luxury? A TV, a shower, a guitar in a music room? Or is it luxury when power triumphs over law, like in La Catedral? In public debate, these levels often get mixed up. Images of softball fields in the US clash with myths about Norwegian apartments. Exceptions become the norm, emotions become headlines. Media loves extremes, the high security block and the holiday island. In between lies the daily grind, head counts, therapy, workshop shifts, paperwork, small progress, setbacks, repetition. For most inmates, prison is no spa, but a long, tough process with strict routines and little privacy. Perhaps the truth about luxury prisons lies less in spectacular stories and more in an uncomfortable realization. Prisons say more about the societies that build them than about the people they contain. Where revenge is the guiding principle, incarceration becomes harsher, more visible, more symbolic. Where prevention matters, it becomes more everyday, less spectacular, and yes, sometimes brighter, friendlier, quieter. La Catedral was luxury as power play, and thus the opposite of justice. Halden is comfort as method, and perhaps closer to what we expect from a rule of law state. Not giving in, but changing. In the end, the choice is yours. Does a good prison need toughness or humanity? Maybe both, but in the right order. First clear boundaries, then real chances. First responsibility, then trust. Now, subscribe to the channel if you love in-depth stories that don't stop at the headline. That way you won't miss an episode, and you'll help us keep telling stories that not only entertain you, but make you smarter.